Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Working in Hockey podcast. I'm your host, Nick Bowins, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Jeff Walker, man of many different hats right now, working with Stop It Goaltending, working with MyHockeyPath, a super cool new endeavor that you're working on there, Jeff. Want to get into it all, including your time with the Arizona Coyotes, but first, how you doing, man?
Very good, very good. Having a great week. It's I'm up in Springfield, Mass, so a little cold up here, but hopefully it'll warm up soon.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get into the conversation here. A good friend, Mike Rabideau, set this up and connected us, and I trust his hockey nerd brain because that's the same way that I look at things, and sounds like it's the same way you look at things. So, for those who don't know, I know you've done a lot of work with analytics, a lot of work with goaltending, but kind of give us an overview of yourself, what you've been up to, and kind of your career through hockey so far.
So my career through hockey, I was a goalie, and I played club hockey at WPI in Worcester. And then after that, I was lucky enough to get into some goalie coaching, kind of fell into it through actually a goalie coach that I had, Louis Chabot, in high school. He needed a coach for the summer, and he called me up and offered me a couple $100 to come skate for the week, and I fell in love with it. And since then, I've worked to build a business. I was then lucky enough to connect with Stop It Goaltending, and now I run a Stop It Goaltending location out here in Springfield, Mass, and I get to work with all the goalies in the area, and that's kind of my main business, main focus, and that's been a lot of fun, and I'm really lucky to be able to do that. And then, through the years, I've been lucky enough also to get into the analytics world a little bit. I'm a big numbers guy. I like looking at data and trying to find, information out of it. There's so much data now in the world. So what I like to do is, especially in the analytics side, there's so much information on each game. So I've been lucky enough to work a little bit. I got to work with Arizona for 2 years as their head of research and development. I learned a lot, and that was a lot of fun. And then lately I started MyHockeyPath, and that kind of grew out of, we started an advising wing at Stop It Goaltending, and I built some background analytics for that, basically creating comps so you can see goalies that are the same age as you, or were the same age as you in the last couple of years, where that had similar stats, and where did they go play the next year. And that's helped us a lot with getting goalies to the right spots, not putting them in bad situations, and helping them kind of grow through the path to college hockey.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I have so many follow-up questions on it, especially MyHockeyPath there. We were talking a little bit offline just about, youth hockey today and trajectories. And I think my kid should be playing this. And, oh, why aren't we in this league? And all those kind of stories that we hear too often. Talk to me about like a specific use case of MyHockeyPath. How would a player or their family kind of lean in and give us some specifics examples there of utilizing MyHockeyPath?
So the best way to use it, what we can do is using comps, we can look at which leagues, should be available to a player the following year after their current season. So we can plug in what league they're in right now, what their stats are, and then look for similar players. And if we find, 100 similar players, we can then see how many of those players went to each league. So that's how it works. And then we can look and see, based on, those leagues, what are the projected stats in each of those leagues? If there's, say for a goalie, you're projected from, one league, and you've got an option of going, to the EHL or the NAL, and every goalie that went to the NAL played 3 games and had an 800 save percentage, but everyone that went to the EHL, the average, save percentage there was a 910. A big thing that we found for goalies, and I'm sure for players as well, I'm a goalie guy, so I look at it that way a lot, but is you got to play games. You got to be playing games. You can't be sitting on the bench. So we want our goalies to go to where they're wanted, and then we want them to go to the best league where they're going to play games. So that's what we can look at with MyHockeyPath, and then we can take those averages and kind of replug them back in for the following year and say, all right, you're going to go to the EHL next year, and then maybe the year after that's a better projection. You're a year older, you've got some better comps for the following year, and we can build out a 5-year path that kind of shows how you get to college. Because as you know, that's such a, it's the number one question I get as a goalie coach is, hey, where should I play next year? How, what league should I play in? What team should I play on? And it's a difficult question to answer when, so it's nice to have a little bit of data behind it, to kind of show you, all right, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to have an opportunity. And here's the numbers you have to hit in order to be a D1 goalie, in order to be a D3 goalie. These are the numbers you got to hit. It's a tough, especially, and it's getting tougher now with the CHL goalies coming in and CHL players coming in. So it's good to see, all right, I have to be this good in order to get to that level.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. And I'm an analytical person. I like knowing the data on things and the probabilities. And that's just how I look at things. And it sounds like you do too. And it's cool to kind of be able to hear and see what options are available to people, because there is just so much. It's the wild, wild west right now. There's so much snake oil. There's such an emphasis on we got to run to the next level. We got to run to the next league, when the main thing that you said there that stuck out to me, and something I always heard and try to preach as well, is we're trying to play hockey. We're trying to play the game. You got to be playing the game. It's not always about getting to the next tier or the next level. And, it sounds like you're able to showcase that a little bit through the platform, that, hey, it's so much more valuable for you, a youth hockey player today, to be playing the game than focused on getting just to the next couple of letters, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's, it's cool to have the jacket or play in the league that has the best letters, but if you're not playing and you're playing 5 minutes a game, or you're playing every other night, like, you're probably not going to be developing as much as you would, maybe pulling it back for a year and playing in a league where, you're playing on the power play, you're putting up a point a game, you're going to develop more, in a league like that, and in a lot of situations. But obviously there's every situation's different, and that's the nice thing about the platform is we can kind of plug the numbers in, and then go from there, and use that as just one side of it, and then obviously an advisor or somebody can then take the other side of it and make connections and get you into the right spot.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's important what you said there too, of it's a tool, it's a platform, it's a supplement to the human side of things. It's not the end all be all with analytics, right? I think that's where the analytical conversation in hockey and sports a lot of times gets hung up, as people go, oh, like, you're just basing this off the numbers. There is a human side to all this, and I know you acknowledge that through all your work as well.
Yeah.
Like, maybe this guy hasn't hit his growth spurt yet, so maybe this league is feasible for him next year, or all those different things I'm sure are continually evolving with your platform and models too.
Yeah, and that's so. When I was with Arizona, Bill Armstrong said that on a podcast. Was the analytics makes you ask questions, So, if we're looking at a list of players and rankings, and your scouts have a guy ranked 80th, and the analytics has him ranked third, maybe they went and saw him on a night where he was sick, or he was playing on, he messed up his leg the day before, and he was playing on one leg. All right, maybe now, all right, that guy that we have ranked 80th, let's go, send a scout to watch him one more time, and then see why the analytics, and maybe the analytics is wrong. That's obviously happening, but it makes you ask that question of, let's take a second look at that guy, So it's not something that you're gonna base everything on, but it's just another way to help and kind of see, based on some past players. All right, past players have taken this route. Let's see if that's going to help me.
100%. No, that totally makes sense. And you touched on working with the Coyotes there, head of research and development for 2 seasons. Obviously, a pretty cool job with the Arizona Coyotes, a team that's done a fabulous job drafting over the past couple of years. You look at the guys coming up through the system now, like Dylan Gunther is a guy who catches my eye every time I watch Utah right now. Talk to me about that role, how you landed in a position like that, what the experience was like. I think so many people desire to end up in an analytical role with the NHL now, as it becomes an increasingly popular kind of career path.
Yeah, I was lucky enough that my boss, Brian Decord at Stop It Goaltending, was hired as the director of goaltending for the Arizona Coyotes. And he brought me in, to kind of help with a few different projects they were working on. Again, kind of things like I talked about earlier, where there's all this data and trying to make it useful. And that was a lot of my job there was, there's all this data, especially at the NHL level, and trying to take that data and tell a story to the coaches or to the hockey guys. Because, hockey guys, don't care, how many loose puck recoveries in the defensive zone that their third third center had. But if you take that and say, all right, our penalty kill was really good because this, and this were good as far as stats. If you can tell a story with it, then that makes it a lot easier. So that was a lot of it was translating, some of the game reports, some of the stats to something that the coaches could use in both pre-scout and post-game reports. And then another side was just simple things like, being able to figure out, when you're looking at a player, how much money, how many years left they have in their contract without having to go to Cap Friendly or, another site or, go to, elite prospects to find out what their stats were. Just kind of combining that stuff into, one place and making it easier when you're looking at 100 different guys, being able to see, all that information, kind of on one place. So that was another thing that I helped with a lot over there.
That's super interesting. And again, I think so many people are increasingly interested in that side of the game and learning that. And as more and more data becomes public and leverageable in the sport, I think we're going to see a lot more roles like that open up over the next couple of years. We talk about the comparables and kind of tracking the stats and the things that we know exist already. How did you guys look at projecting players moving forward? I think that's always the thing that you hear with scouts and drafting is, okay, he was great in the WHL, but what does he look like in 3 years? I think that's the hard part of the game. We're never going to have a perfect science for it, but what role did you play in that, and how did you guys look at projecting these draft picks and young players?
So definitely that was something where it was a combination of the analytics and then, like you said, the personnel side. So you have a great scouting staff; they're doing a lot of work, and having the analytics on the other side to kind of compare and see how we could project. So using the MyHockeyPath system, it's kind of similar to what we did in Arizona, where you have comparables, and you say, all right, we've got a 20-year-old that's playing in this league, and here's his 5 comparables for the next year. And a big thing that I can do with the MyHockeyPath that's really cool is you get a list of names of those comparables for each of 5 years, and you can really go through and because that's how hockey guys talk about guys is, hey, this guy's Sidney Crosby in 5 years, or this guy's Nathan McKinnon in 5 years, based on and if you can actually if you're looking at a guy and you can say all right, he's comparable if he does this and this for the next 3 years, in 4 years he's this guy. And it makes it easier for coaches and hockey guys and GMs to be able to go in and say, all right, he's John Smith in 3 years, and that's what we're looking to replace on our team because we've got a guy that is leaving at that point, or something like that. So using comps and being able to actually see names, it really makes it a little more realistic, as opposed to just, hey, he's going to have a 0.87 points per game in 3 years in the AHL. Like, that doesn't mean a lot to most hockey guys. Whereas if you say, oh, he's this guy in 3 years. Okay, cool. Like, that guy's on our AHL team right now, and we're looking at bringing him up. All right, cool. Like, that gives us something that's a little more real.
Yeah, totally. The comparables make it digestible and understandable for everybody, which is, that totally makes sense. I'd be curious on sort of the logistical, operational side of a job like that. How much are you traveling with the team to go watch games? How much are you going out and watching youth players or otherwise in other leagues? How much are you, how much time you spending at the rink versus in your office there? What's the business or logistical side of a role like that, research and development?
So that role was actually during COVID, the 2 years. So I did get to go out once, just to go to a couple games, kind of meet the guys. But really, I didn't get to go very often. So I think if I had done it now, it would be a little bit more fun, where I'd get to go out there and kind of be there for meetings and things like that. But so it was a lot of. I learned a lot about these virtual meetings during that time, because as everybody did during the COVID years, was we had a lot of virtual meetings, and which was really cool. I got to talk to a lot of people, got to meet a lot of people, virtually. So it was a part-time thing. But it was, we were pretty busy with it. So it was, I was able to work it in. I run a school program here, an academy style program, with a few kids. And so while I was here, the kids were doing their schoolwork. A lot of times I'd have meetings and hop on and talk with some of the guys and do some of the analytics work while the kids were here. So it kind of worked out well with my schedule. And unfortunately, it was pretty much 100% remote. But I did get to go out there once and meet the guys, which was fun.
Cool. Yeah, no, I guess add a pandemic as the list of variables that affect said projections and comparables and everything like that. But no, I think that's an awesome way to look at the research and development side of things there. We've touched on stop it goaltending a couple times. I want to dive into that a little bit more. Goalies are weird. Goalies are hard to project. Goalies grow and develop at different rates and ages. Talk to me about, kind of the developmental side, the coaching side of things, what you do day to day there at Stop It Goaltending.
So day to day at Stop It Goaltending, it's a really fun job. Like I said, we have the academy, and we've had a lot of success with that. We call it the Bridge Program, and Brian DeCord runs a location of the Bridge Program out at our main location, and he's had goalies come through that are playing NCAA hockey now, which is pretty cool. Silverstein down at Quinnipiac is one of his guys, and I have a girl actually that was one of my first clients that was able to. She's playing at Anna Maria College now, D3, which is really cool to see. So it's cool to see, when you have kids and you get to build a relationship, and that's kind of see where that goes and track them as they even move on from skating here. But that's a big thing with being any coach, but especially a goalie coach. A lot of it is building relationships and being there. I also work with Western New England University, local D3 team, and that's a lot of my job is just being an outlet for the goalies. Because it's a tough gig, and they have to. Have a lot going on and a lot of mental things, and you just being there for them and just having that relationship. So that's the part of it that I like a lot is it's really about building relationships with goalies and being a friend as much as anything and being a mentor before you even get to the technical stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly where I wanted to go next, is kind of the mental side of goaltending and helping these kids. Because again, it's at a young age that a lot of these kids are getting looks and getting different teams and going places. And goaltending is such an independent position compared to your first line power play guy, your second line D man, whatever it is, right? It's such an independent position where I think goaltending coaches, I look at a lot like a pitching coach in baseball or a swing coach in golf, where you are focused on the mental side of things so much with these goalies, right?
Yeah, it's a really big part of the job as a coach, as a goalie coach is just making sure they're in the right headspace, and that's just if you're confident and you're in the right spot, like you're gonna play well. And then also understanding yourself enough to know when you're not in that right spot and how to get yourself there.
Right. And what sort of trends or changes have you seen in goaltending over the last few years? Obviously, the game has changed a lot since 80s, 90s, the goaltending from then to today. We've seen a lot of different styles. We've seen the pads change immensely. When you're working with these kids now, what sort of trends or challenges are you seeing in the game for goalies right now?
So the biggest challenge right now is just the skill in the game. And how lateral the game has gotten. So when I first started, with Stop It Goaltending, I feel like all we did was butterfly slides. Just everything was get on your knees, slide, push around, be on your knees the whole time. If you do that now, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be behind schedule, as one of my coaches says, because the game's so fast, side to side, and you have to try to hold your feet. So that's the biggest thing we've been working on is as always, skating's the most important, but being able to read plays, and almost use a slide as a desperation situation and not a default, like how I'm going to move from A to B, which for years that's what it was. It was, I'm going from A to B, I'm just going to slide and get back up. Like if you do that, like the game's too fast. Now the guys are too skilled. You're going to get in trouble and you're not going to be at the right spot.
Yeah, no, it's gone from such a north-south style of game, like you said, to lateral and seam passes and cross plays. So it's totally changed, and I think it's interesting watching from afar without being a goaltending coach by any means. Just seeing how young goaltenders have processed that change and how much they're staying up on their feet, like you said, instead of sliding across and falling. I mean, I feel like when we were kids playing tyke hockey or pee-wee hockey, the goalies never got up. They were just down, right? You throw your hands up to the top corners and whatever it was, but it's completely different today, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And to transition from there, Jeff, always kind of wrap things up with some advice on the show here. I'm going to make it two pronged here today. First, we'll start with advice for hockey parents looking to get their kids to the next level or progress through youth sports, hopefully end up in college one day. I know we touched a lot on MyHockeyPath and everything that you're doing there, but what advice would you have for hockey parents today in the ever evolving climate of minor hockey?
Just to don't be afraid to seek help. Coaches around, are great people. The hockey world's full of great people, and there's always people looking to help. Ask questions. Ask about past players. Using the comparables. You can get those just by asking coaches. All right, well, where'd your players go last year? And then look them up, and say, oh, well, three of their players from the team I'm playing on now, they're playing for this school and they're doing well, and three went here and they're not doing as well. So, maybe that's that can help there. So, just trying to look through and find, some information before you commit to going certain places. And there's, if you're getting older, then there's, MyHockeyPath, we can help with some things. Or, when you get to, high school age or closer to junior and college age, there's advisors. There's a ton of great advisors out there. We have at Stop It Goaltending, we help a bunch of goalies. So if you're a goalie, give us a call. Yeah, advisors are a great help, but there's all kinds of information and looking up, comparable players is a big help just to kind of see, where you fit in and where you can go in the following years.
Yeah, well said. And last one that we always do here on the working in hockey side of things, career advice for somebody looking to get into a role like you've had in the past with the analytics at the Coyotes, a role with Stop It Goaltending here. What sort of advice, tips, or tricks have you picked up through your career, Jeff?
So one of the biggest things that I was lucky with was with Stop It Goaltending. I was able to meet a lot of great goalie coaches. So what I would say for advice is don't say no to any opportunity. If you can make it work, even if you're not getting paid a ton or, you don't always make a ton of money when you start out, but if you want to get into the coaching world, into the hockey world, it's a great world to be in. And, that you can find opportunities. And you're just building your database of people that and that's the biggest thing that's helped me a lot is I know a ton of people in the hockey world, and that's how I've gotten pretty much every job I've gotten, coaching college, coaching, all over the place, and working, in different leagues, and, working in the NHL is, getting to know people, being a good person, and just connecting with as many people as you can, and you get those, when you get an opportunity, say yes. If you can make it work for you, say yes. And sometimes it's something that just seems like, oh, I kind of got to go do this. But it might work out 5 years from now. That person you did a favor, they're, coaching in the AHL and they give you a call. So, that's kind of how things go. And so just, being a good person and connecting with as many people as you can.
Amen. Nope. There's the clip for the episode. Great advice there. And surround yourself with good people because there's so many good people in the hockey world. It's again, I say it every episode, but it's a small world, and good people can take advantage of that in a positive way. Jeff, this has been awesome to get to learn more about your path, your career, and definitely MyHockeyPath as well. I would suggest anybody with kids coming up through the system check out MyHockeyPath and reach out to Jeff for any kind of questions, inputs, or advice. But Jeff, if people do have questions, where could they find you or reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find me at myhockeypath.com or on Instagram. You can find my information, my email, Jeff at stopitgoaltending.com. You can go there. My number's on the Stop It Goaltending website. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always available, and I love talking to hockey people. It's my job, and I'm lucky to say that that's my job.
100%. I think we could have done this all day, Jeff, but thanks so much for the time here. Really appreciate it. And guys, if you enjoyed this episode of the Working in Hockey podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.